problems and reasons for their existence. I would think that in 2023 I don't need to tell you why boy-girl fighting is a problem. There are a lot of effects and counter-effects that make this thing exist. I will try to piece together the causes and problems bit by bit. It's like a puzzle game. Many times the problems are connected with the causes. I spent the last month or so watching a lot of more than 130 boy-girl fights. I hate these, so it was a real pain to watch them. I'll make a statistic about it. There are three main components to this problem: the girls, the boys, and other, i.e., external factors. In many cases, things develop in boys and girls as a result of external factors. Boys have already been mentioned in several videos. The videos will be in the description, watch them. I dealt with the girls less, simply because I didn't know their world that well, so I didn't want to express an opinion. I improved a lot on this shortcoming, so let's look at the girls. What problems does it cause them, and for what reasons do they participate in the fights? Frankly, all people, especially girls, are sensitive to anyone touching their body. In normal, say, school conditions, no one would accept the fact that anyone touches a girl's genitals without her permission. But since the person is a minor, it doesn't matter that he allows it. There are laws and rules. All of these prohibit a boy from grabbing a girl's breast just like that. If two people decide to touch each other in a private room, that's natural and there's nothing wrong with it. But this intimacy belongs only to the two of them. An 11 to 16-year-old girl is just starting to learn about herself, boys, and the world. He moves forward with small and difficult steps and needs continuous support. Logically, a girl wouldn't allow a stranger boy to touch her breasts in public where hundreds of people can see. She wouldn't want to touch the boy either. So why do they do this on the sports field? These are caused by external influences. The coach tells him, "You are so good that you can even join the boys. You'll be better if you fight them." She begins to believe this, because he is still a minor. Added to this is the fact that she doesn't know the boys and doesn't know how horrible it is for them. Maybe if he knew, he would decide differently. First question: why do we look down on the female sex? Will he not have a suitable rival among the girls? This is contempt for the female sex. Yes, it will be for her. Furthermore, during the match the boys start with a 3* to 4* disadvantage, so it is a lie that they will be better. In fact, they will be worse, and what they do is even dangerous. This is not only dangerous for boys. After all, the technique used against a boy can be dangerous against a girl. If she practices these, it will be very difficult to switch back to wrestling with girls later. It can cause great damage to the other girl, especially her breasts. After all, women's breasts are very sensitive to impact. It can lead to breast cancer, blockage of milk ducts, and other gross injuries. Just that it would be in the interest of the girls to wrestle only with girls, to learn safe wrestling thoroughly. To see how much more cruel the girls who fought with boys can be. They are not better, they are more unsportsmanlike. Sportsmanship is the most important element of sport. Girls don't get better when they fight boys. In boys, however, they can cause great harm. After all, girls don't have testicles, they don't know how sensitive and how vulnerable organs are. There is no problem with this in same-sex fights, as both fighters know what their body is. He can pay much more attention to others. This is where you have to quickly move on to external factors. These struggles are never invented by the participants themselves. There are certain popular sects today that go against the natural order, thinking they are socially smarter than nature. This is also a lie. These interest groups only seek power and money. They do not consider the interests of the people. These social groups look down on boys. They believe they deserve to be mistreated, that their gender identity and preferences should not be taken into account. This is a very, very harmful thing. That's why young girls start thinking this way too and can even go to extreme measures, citing the hypocrisy of sports. In addition, there are other interest groups that encourage girls in this regard. Some of them are typically female coaches who are unfamiliar with boys or adhere to the principles of the aforementioned sect. They look down on and disregard boys, claiming that they are just like girls and there's nothing wrong with that. This is a lie and foolishness. Anyone who claims this is foolish. Take a look at how different girls and boys are. I have a video about this. Check it out, the link is in the description. In addition, there is another interest group that is responsible for this phenomenon. These are usually men. The girl's father, brother, male coach. Out of the 130 matches I've seen, I recognized familiar faces among the spectators, the referees, and the coaches in more than 50 instances. These are not coincidences. As I mentioned in one of my videos, the society of boys is completely different from that of girls. They constantly have to prove their masculinity, constantly needing to reaffirm their gender identity. This is such an important aspect that everyone has a duty to consider. Around the age of 22 to 25, it becomes clear for men whether they have succeeded in attaining stability in their gender identity. Those men who have succeeded can simply laugh at every joke regarding their gender. They can stand up for women and even for the interests of young boys. Unfortunately, there is a part of male society who couldn't attain this gender stability. These men tend to compensate in various ways. They may seek validation through owning big cars, expensive possessions, or other means. And no, this has nothing to do with penis size. Penis size can only be an indirect cause in this context, not a direct one. So, those men who haven't developed gender stability find pleasure in humiliating younger boys. This serves as a validation of their own identity. It's similar to trash talk shows on TV. By watching them, you can find joy in seeing someone less fortunate than yourself, making your own miserable life seem more valuable. The same applies to the battles between boys and girls. In these battles, boys are almost always humiliated, struggling under the girls' dominance. These fathers, coaches, they want to see this. It brings them sexual pleasure, a form of self-justification. Through their daughters, they experience their own masculinity. This is veiled pedophilia, or rather, legal pedophilia. How can you recognize these men when they are next to the sports field? They constantly shout at the girl, telling her what to do. They often use derogatory terms about the opposing boy.
Keep him down! Drive through! Drive! No! Bell Bridge! Reggie Bridge! Out! Kenji, up and out! Yes! Yeah! Get that shoulder down, Kenzie. Shoulder down. Get that shoulder down. Lock that shoulder. Lift his arm up. Lift his hand up. Lift that hand up. Now squeeze. Roll. Push forward. Drive forward. Lift his hand. Lift that arm up and drive. Get that chest down. Chest to chest. More. Yes! All you, honey.
His daughter must win at all costs. He doesn't care if she enjoys it, nor how regular it was. Above all, it is unsportsmanlike for the young boy, because he has a much smaller chance of winning. I talk about this in another video. It doesn't even matter that his daughter didn't get better with this, but even weaker. They encourage girls to grab the boy's groin. There are a lot of such incidents in these matches. There will be videos about them, but even the first 4 matches in the analysis video are like this. It's worth watching again. Because these people are not satisfied with just watching the already agitated young boy as he suffers. They manipulate the girl to win even when she's losing. It's not difficult to achieve this. A little touch on the erect penis or an accidental grab of the testicles is enough. We know of cases where the girl whispered in the boy's ear, "I'll suck you off," or, "You have a small penis," but one of my friends was told, "Did you jerk off on me?" How many matches do we know where initially the boy was doing better, but suddenly the girl won? The analysis video also revealed how many crotch grabs happen from the girl's side. The referees don't blow the whistle on these because they are barely noticeable. As I mentioned in one of my videos, a boy's weakness is the girl. And this holds true even if the girl doesn't fight unethically. Their breasts, their scent, their touch, all stimulate a young boy. Of course, I am aware that in many cases it is just that it is a small sports club where there are not enough girls, so they are put in among the boys. I will talk about this in more detail later in the video. Let's briefly switch to the boys, as I've already made 2 videos about them. Boys between the ages of 12 and 16 are overflowing with testosterone. Anything related to girls is stimulating for them. The girls' breasts, their scent, their buttocks, and every part of their bodies is exciting, sexually arousing. If it weren't for the sports field, they would never go there to touch them. If they still do, they would receive serious punishment, rightfully so. Yet, why do we ask them to do this mandatory on the sports field? Why is it pointless to ask the boys about this? Because boys won't say no to a fight, as it would be like being afraid of girls. It would be degrading for the boy. That's why they would rather engage in a fight that they won't enjoy. Watch a boy-girl match. It has a completely different dynamic than a girl-girl or boy-boy fight. Even the loser can be happy. When they stand on the podium, everyone is happy. In mixed championships, even if a boy wins, he's not happy. Especially if a girl wins the championship. It is very, very humiliating for the boys. Let's not ignore this. Let's not think that just because they are boys, they deserve it. No one deserves it. It is everyone's duty to respect each other, and boys are included in that. Boys are often made to fight by looking down on them. Even their own coach doesn't stand up for them. They say things like, "Are you afraid to stand up against a girl?" Or, "Be a man and fight," and so on. These sentences have such an impact on boys that they won't be able to say no, even if they wanted to. It's because of how boys' minds work. This kind of behavior is prohibited because it is coercion. How can someone call themselves a coach if they don't understand what kind of kids they are responsible for? There are numerous stories where boys have collectively stated that they don't want to fight with girls, but the response to that was labeling them as woman haters. This is blackmail and a vile excuse. They don't want to fight with girls simply because they don't want to. It's not about looking down on them. They just don't want to engage in battles involving breasts and their own erections. They want to participate in sports, not in a pornographic film where only those with pedophilic tendencies derive pleasure from it. Let's not allow these battles. Stand for rational and healthy thinking. Although legally boys and girls are equal, they still differ from each other. It is precisely the gender segregation that serves to make them equal. By acknowledging their differences, we respect their gender. This applies to both girls and boys. Don't look down on girls by saying that there is no worthy opponent for your daughter among them. But there will be. Don't look down on boys and support them in becoming sexually stable men. If you understand this, we will have a society where genders understand that the other is different from them, but precisely for this reason, they respect and treat them as equal counterparts. This is particularly true for jiu-jitsu competitions. There will be a separate video about it. There will be a video about girls who intentionally exploit the weaknesses of boys. It is important to note that if a boy on the sports field experiences a foul play from a girl, especially when it concerns his genitals, he will never complain about it. This also contradicts the functioning of a boy's brain. Therefore, a girl can do almost anything to a boy without consequences. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that everyone who watches these matches is a pedophile. However, what I do claim is that it's not the young ones who desire it, and often it's the girls who are being exploited by those behind them. I also assert that many look down on boys. What I have just mentioned is merely the tip of the iceberg. Stand up against it as well. Up until now, I have only talked about what not to do, but still, how far should we allow children to compete with the opposite gender? Girls start puberty at the age of 11, while boys start at 12, although it can be earlier for boys. That's why I suggest separating the two genders in any case for those above the age of 11. Between the ages of 6 and 11, sexual matters are less of a problem, but they can still be present. At this age, the issue is that girls have more developed muscles and flexibility compared to boys. The winning ratio is between 75 to 25%, which means that girls have a 75% chance of winning. There will be a video about this. This can discourage boys from enjoying sports. Furthermore, it is unsportsmanlike because in adulthood, for the same reason, the genders are separated, but then it is due to the greater physical strength of men. I talked about this in one of my videos. I suggest you watch it. While in adulthood it is due to men, in youth it is due to girls that the genders need to be separated, because it would be unfair to boys, just as it would be unfair to women later on. Therefore, I do not recommend mixing the genders between the ages of 6 and 11. Under 6 years old, we probably can't cause significant harm to them. This period passes quickly and it will become clear whether the child enjoys sports or not. Significant development of gender identity starts to take place around the age of 8 in children. From this point forward, it is crucial for boys to have continuous reinforcement of their gender identity. Therefore, I strongly recommend separating the genders after the age of 8. Just like a sibling pair, if it's a girl and a boy, they must be separated at the age of 8. The same applies on the sports field as well. One coach told me that sometimes it is unavoidable to mix genders because there aren't enough girls. I find this to be an unacceptable justification. Just so that 1 to 2 girls can participate in such a sport, it doesn't give them the right to humiliate boys. Boys are also human beings, they have their own needs and interests. Just like girls, boys are human beings too. Just because girls engage in this sport, it is not a reason to humiliate boys. Therefore, we need to find a different solution. Either gather girls from nearby cities and have joint training sessions, or there won't be a women's division. In other words, they won't be able to practice such sport. I know this is a painful statement, especially due to pressure from various sects. By doing this, the institution may expose itself to becoming misogynistic. Still, we must stand for rational and healthy human values. Not everything is given in life. Let the girl find another sport. If it were the other way around, the boy would automatically seek another sport. The girl doesn't feel humiliated having to compete among boys because she's told, "It's okay, in fact, it's good for you." Moreover, the brains of girls function completely differently. Their gender identity is not a question for them, but for boys, it is yes. Everyone has the obligation to take this into account. Don't yield to the pressure of certain sects, but rather to natural and healthy development. Many people say that I am a religious person or a member of some sect. That's not true. I have never been a believer in God or religious in any way. I have been an atheist all my life. I believe that nature didn't create us the way we are by chance. Going against that is harmful and dishonest. What is important to me? Respect for genders, equality, and humanity. Don't let yourself be deceived. Soon there will be a new video where we will delve deeper into the subject. The sources of the video: any scientifically supported textbook on topics such as child rearing, mental health, or biology.